So I'm a strong Canadian federalist, a proud Albertan, and a proud Canadian. I want a strong Alberta within a united Canada. All Conservatives will be campaigning for Canadian unity in Alberta, and potentially, we hope not, but potentially in Quebec as well if the separatists win there. It is the job of the Prime Minister of Canada to unite the country. And as Prime Minister in waiting, I will begin that work myself. I will be campaigning across the province of Alberta, encouraging Albertans to stay as part of the Canadian family and encouraging nationwide unity for all Canadians.
Okay, so thank you. That is Pierre Poilievre, of course, Conservative leader today, dealing with what we're all expecting, because it's only a rumor for the time being, will be Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta, basically going ahead and suggesting that the referendum will be on the ballot come October. Well, Scott Reid is our CTV political analyst, former advisor to Prime Minister Paul Martin, and our feature course, as always, is brought to you by Guaranteed Industries, reminding you can beat the heat and stay cool at home. You can also get yourself a rebate from Hydro this year if you're getting a new air conditioner. So check them out. Guaranteed and Can Air, keeping you comfortable all summer long. 514-342-3400. Online, guaranteedindustries.com. Scott, a lot of people scratching heads today, wondering what exactly is going to happen. So what are you hearing? What can we expect from Danielle Smith?
Well, it is a crazy, incredible situation out there. I do think you're right. And I think, regrettably, I think that the Premier is going to suggest today that she's going to put a question on the ballot for separatism to try to settle this issue, but also in order to satisfy, people that are within her own voter coalition. She has people in her own cabinet who are outright separatists. And I think that's what's really going to be bizarre. I think one of the most interesting questions about tonight isn't whether or not she's going to do it, because I think she is. I think one of the interesting questions is, will she require her cabinet ministers to campaign in favor of remaining within Canada? I'm not even sure she'll go that far. Certainly she won't ask her own party members, which is mind-boggling to me. But here's what I'm also going to be wondering. What's the question going to be? Like, if she's going to put a question on the ballot, there's a big mix-up. And you remember this back from the days, 1995, 1980, monster fights over the question. In 1995, Parizeau put this question. It was longer than the book of Deuteronomy on the ballot, right? Like, if Quebec, do you support a sovereign Quebec if after they've made an offer to the federal government suggesting a new political and economic partnership that's in concert with bills that we've passed here in the province, but also the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and a few other things, would you then and this is the question that we're going to be asking tonight, because the separatists in Quebec are all up in arms. They think the question is going to be, do you want to remain in Canada? And they don't want that question. They want, do you want Alberta to stand on its own as a sovereign country? They think that's a more attractive question. So we've been watching for all this stuff. It's been a total drama out there. And, we'll see. By the way, good on Pierre Poilievre, because, I've been critical of him in the past on this question. I was critical of him on Monday on this question. And for him to come out emphatically on this day and say, look, color me Canadian, I'm 100% on board. He's doing what Danielle Smith isn't, because those people are in his voter coalition too. So at least he's standing up for the country.
I wonder, though, and I should mention this, Scott, we had 2 ministers within her government quit today, right? They're federalists and left, including the finance minister.
And, no one is saying that they left because they're uncomfortable with with campaigning for Alberta to stay within Canada, but that surely is the implication. I mean, they had a cabinet meeting. They decided at a cabinet meeting what she's going to announce today, or more to the likelihood she told them what is going to happen tonight. And so you get a couple of ministers bailing, including a finance minister, as you say. Presumably that's because they're not comfortable with this. They want to have a free hand to campaign against keeping Alberta in the country. I think it's bananarama. Just absolutely bananas. Danielle Smith says that she wants Quebec to remain in Canada, but she's mailing in the effort, man. We'll see. we'll see.
Okay. I heard a clip from Joy. Do you know Joy Gerson?
Sure.
Okay. So can I just play this little clip here? She was asked about what she thinks is going on. Oh, I can't.
Yep.
Okay, I can't play it right now because you're not going to hear it. But she basically said, if Danielle Smith goes ahead and does this tonight, it would be the most idiotic, stupid thing that she could possibly do. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'm totally with Jen. And she's been emphatic on this issue, by the way, Jen Garrison. She's been so good on this and so crystal clear and pointing out the absurdity and the way that the government and the premier in particular have indulged the lunacy of some of the things that, because there's some crazy, plainly unconstitutional stuff and leaking the electors list, from the separatist movement and all this stuff.
Right.
And she's right. Look, I believe at the end of the day, if there's a question, I want to believe, I have to believe that Albertans will vote to stay within Canada. But, what is Danielle Smith doing? This is very similar to Brexit in this way. David Cameron, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, he had a problem within his own party. He had a bunch of people who wanted to get rid of Europe, so he gave them a referendum thinking that it would go the way he wanted and he would silence those people. And it was his Waterloo. It ended him as Prime Minister when it went sideways. And the point is, you just never know how referendums questions go. I was there in 95. I was working in the federal government for the Minister of Finance. I was part of, a group of people working on that question. And I'll tell you, when Bouchard took over that campaign, when they kind of basically put Parizeau in the bleachers, holy crow! And people thought that issue was foreordained, that the outcome of that campaign. And as we know, it was a whisker. And so the point is, whether it's Brexit, whether it's 1995, you don't know. And why would she license this debate? Why would she license this vote? And the answer is because it's what she needs to do in order to survive a leadership challenge. Well, who gives a GD about her leadership challenge? That's not the thing you're elected to do. If you're elected, your primary responsibility is to lead the province and to be a first minister for the country. And I would argue that she's actively working against that instead placing priority on her own political position.
So let me kind of move forward. Let's say it's October. This does get on the ballot. It's rejected by Albertans. Is this over and done with? Then what?
No, because then it's going to get rejected. Let's say it the campaign against the separatist movement wins. It's not going to win 90-10. It's going to win, with 1/3 or 4/10 of those who voted demanding separation. So what's her message going to be? It won't be, oh, it's over and done, thanks, we won. It will be, we have a strong mandate to stay within Canada, and we have a strong mandate to wring the federal government's neck until they give us everything we want. And so the demands will go on. And, and it isn't just the legitimate grievances that Albertans argue. It is also giving license and giving voice to all the illegitimate BS arguments that get put together. And look at some of these people, like the leader, the de facto leader of the separatist movement in Alberta. Guy's going down in the United States, dealing with crazy people, leaking the electors list. Like, these are wing nuts. Like Levesque, Parizeau. These were serious people. They were serious foes for the likes of, Marc Lalonde and Pierre Trudeau. These guys out here, they're charlatans.
Okay. Listen, you brought up Pierre Poilievre, paying the dibs, I guess he gets for coming out and not wasting any time saying this. Where does this leave Mark Carney? Because he's in the middle of an issue now out in BC with David Eby, and all of a sudden this is happening on his watch. What does he do here?
Well, it's been fascinating in the way that Eby went at it, because Eby decided that he wanted to draw the separatist question in by saying, look, the only reason that Carney's going to Alberta first and, trying to put his muscle behind this is because he wants to reward poor behavior. He wants to reward this separatist threat. And that's exactly the wrong thing to do. Maybe smart politics by Eby, but also divisive, really, trying to play on that crack and that pressure. I'd say Carney's played this pretty wisely, but, after tonight, he's not going to be able to straddle this fence. He's going to be forced onto the playing field, and he's going to have to say even more often and more emphatically that he wants Alberta to stay within Canada. But he's going to have to be careful because he doesn't want to put himself in the position of saying, and here's the price I'm willing to pay for that. He can't allow it to become an auction. I will give you votes. I will give you benefits in order to win your support. So it's a tricky spot for the Prime Minister.
By the way, you brought it up at the beginning, so I went and called up the referendum question from 95 in Quebec, which was, do you agree that Quebec should become sovereign after having made a formal offer to Canada for a new economic and political partnership within the scope of the bill respecting the future of Quebec and the agreement signed on June 12, 1995?
To make Chrétien insane. Like insane. I can remember those days. I remember going to a cabinet meeting as I was working for the Minister of Finance, and Chrétien's like, this goddamn question. This is not a question. This is not clear. This is ridiculous. Like, he was out of his mind about it. And that created the Clarity Act, but it also created the Clarity Act's dark shadow, which was sponsorship scandal.
Yeah. What an exciting time to have lived through. Scott Reid, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
Or the free iHeartRadio app.